The first one is characters. A story is about characters, right? You have hero, you have bad guys, you have neutral guys, and the story is really about people. And as a reader or as someone in front of the TV, you can really identify with these people. And sometimes I'm a man, I can identify to a woman. I think I'm a good guy, but I can identify to a bad guy sometimes. And the fact that that stories show real human people means that we as humans can really identify and live the story through these people. And what does it mean for communications or services? Whenever you have to explain something, just using names or people can really help, I think, your audience to figure out who the service is for or how it works and why it is important, because you have people and emotions, and then you can really be in the situation or in the context that the service is helping. So really using characters is something very important, I think. And usually it's just like your example from before. The natural way of communicating or speaking about something would be to have a generalization, say, okay, all the people are doing things like this and blah, 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 blah. But if you say not all people are doing like this, but Daniele usually has a problem because blah, 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 it's much more interesting. So really having specific people inside the process of telling something is a little trick. It's not a real story, but it helps bringing the idea that it's like a story. So characters are really important. Second thing is the context. Every story happens in a specific environment. Sometimes it can be a whole invented world outside our galaxy, very far away. And sometimes it's a real street in New York City where you can really go and see the shops and see the stores, etc. But invented or not, it's really something very specific. And this context gives a lot of sense to the story. And as a reader, you can really say, okay, oh, in this world, things are like this. So if the hero does that, it will be bad. And you can really understand how it works and take part in the thing and really understand why things are happening, or even sometimes you can really anticipate, oh, that will be a problem. So in our communications or in service design, providing context can really make things more understandable and help people to figure out why, how it works, etc., etc. So we shouldn't be shy to provide a lot of details to shape the context to help people understand. I know you love talking about experience, so I have an experiment which confirms this. There were two groups of people, and they got a set of instructions, like a sheet with 25 steps for a process, and they had to remember it and sometime later give it back. And one group had just the instructions, and the other group had the same instructions, but a little sentence at the start which said something like, this is how you use the washing machine. And just by providing this context, the group that had this information remembered the instructions much more than the first group, because they could figure out, oh, that's where it's used, so I can really process things better. So it really shows that context is really important. You should really use it in communications or in anything that has to convey information or sensations. So that was for second. Third is about timeline. The story happens in the timeline. There's this and then that, etc., etc. And this whole succession of events really helps you remember the story and tell it to other people. We are, as humans, we react to this timeline and to this succession of events really well. So we could really use chronology and time indications to help people follow the story or the instructions or the explanations of something. So I think it can really be used in service design as well. And another thing, of course, is emotions. In the business world, usually we don't have a lot of emotions. When you open an Excel sheet, you don't laugh. Sometimes you cry, but it's not really a good sign. Let's say we don't have a lot of emotion. And once again, companies, organizations, they don't really like the idea of being emotional. It's changing a bit, I think, but still we are expected to be more like robots than real humans. So when you read a book, when you watch a TV show, there are, of course, lots of emotions. And this is what we love watching the shows or reading the books. And putting emotions into our texts, our copy, our explanations can really be something that will help people be more engaged in the explanations or in the process. And that's, I think, something very interesting. And probably the last thing that I should mention is images. When you read a book, you only have words on a page, but in your brain, you have a whole movie. And you can really use this trick when you write something, when you explain something, using metaphors or images or comparisons so that people can really view something in their brain and not only listen to facts and data and have to figure out things. So it's really important to use these images. And some, I don't have an exact example in mind, but some product or service names, they use this because they have names that help us remember something or compare to something in the real world, and it works. So that's a real quick list of things that you can use in communications, or I think service design or service design explanations or presentations to help people understand and remember better. And it's simplified with storytelling. It's not real stories.